Hey, how you doing there, Guitar Fiends? I thought I'd just share with you guys a few guitar tips from my quite a many years of guitar teaching experience. Probably well over 1,000, feels like sometimes. So here we go, in no specific order. I'll call this number one anyway. You need to be realistic about how much time you've got, how much time you're actually going to commit to your practice, rather than coming up with some huge blown out concept. I'm going to practice this for this long, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then really, as it turns out, you're only going to practice for 15 minutes a day. You got to just be kind of real about that. Then you can work out, okay, if I'm only going to practice for X amount of time, this is something that I want to get good at, or here's a few areas that I want to work on, focus on those, and just apply whatever time that you are actually going to do. You know what I'm saying? Vibrato. You need it, we need it, it's everything, pretty much. So here's a cool thing you can do is just make sure you're practicing to do vibrato on every single finger and with as much variation as possible. Look, I'm not even going to plug in for this. So in other words, not just, you know, your third finger or your first finger, but every finger, and don't just necessarily go with whatever happens to pop out. You know, learn to be able to do a really small, subtle, you know, and wider, faster, slower, bit like sax really. No, probably in particular, as with most things, your fourth finger, the little guy, the weakling, sorry, you are. You need to be able to do still that wide vibrato, or it's a good finger for sliding up into notes. So you're going to need to be able to not do that, but maybe that's why I didn't plug in. So yeah, practice with each finger, doing the biggest variety of vibrato that you can. So speaking of the fourth finger, simply it is the weakest link in the left hand. It's small, it's weak, you know you are, and it's in some weird way connected to this third finger that is horrible, really. So the more you get to work on it early on, the better. Otherwise, as your other fingers develop and are doing everything you want, at some point you're going to go, oh, I can't reach that unless I use my fourth finger. And then if you haven't done any work on it, it's a horrible, horrible experience. So just get to work on that little guy. Punish him daily. The more control over technique and various techniques you have, the better options you've got. The more you're going to be able to do, the more material you're going to be able to play. You're not going to find yourself locked into just a core set of abilities. And then when you want to do something, you realize, oh man, I haven't really worked on technique, so I can't be bothered. You know, it's something that will keep you playing longer, keep you interested in playing guitar for longer, and just open up more doors. So bottom line is, the more advanced your technique is in general, then the more advanced you can be. Now, speaking of learning stuffs, here's just an interesting thing to keep in mind is you don't have to learn, well, you kind of don't have to learn anything in a way. But you certainly don't have to learn or work on things just because it seems like something you need to do. And I find myself, you know, from time to time sort of thinking, yeah, I really want to have a look at some jazz chord stuff. But I think now I'm like, yeah, but you know, you also want to do A, B, C, D, A.5, 5.1, 5B. Too much stuff. So in other words, if you don't want to shred, you don't have to. You don't have to do, learn to do sweep picking if you don't feel like it. You do have to learn to play blues. Let's be real about a few things, right? Don't work on too many things at once. Seems straightforward, as quite a few of these things to do, but you know, choose what you're working on. Even if you're doing some amazing amount of practice, even if you're practicing for 8 hours a day, there's only so much that's going to stick over a given period of time. So you still need to make sure you're kind of limiting what you're working on at any point. Make sure you're really focused on it. You've got to kind of schedule, you know what you're doing with it. And then as you start to get through that and things are developing nicely or progressing, then you can, you know, add more into it. But you still need to kind of go, okay, here's the things that I'm working on. Great, I'll work on those, nail some stuff, and then I'll throw more into the pot. If you're working on sort of intermediate to advanced kind of stuff, if you're enjoying all of it, if it's all really cool, it's all fun, then you're just doing it wrong. Basically, well, there's something in there that you're not doing enough of, or you're not working hard enough on something, or you're not, I don't know, something's missing. As Vinnie Moore put it that way a while back when I saw him in clinic. basically the fact of the matter is there's a certain amount of things that are just repetition, muscle memory. You just got to get it in there. So there's going to be some stuff that you're not going to hate it, but it's going to be boring. That's okay. The same with any physical activity. Certain amount of things, as you are really trying to advance, you just got to go over it and over it and over it and over it and over it until you get it right. And then that's only this one little tiny, grain of sand part. Then the other part, the next bit, and the more advanced version, and the bigger version, and the other inversions, and the over the neck, and then the other keys, etc. So just saying, if it's all kind of fun and games, it's just awesome. Now maybe you need to get some harder stuff to work on, or get a teacher to whoop your ass and make it so that some of the stuff is just a bit hard work, because it's supposed to be. It's like parenting. If you're just having a good time, it's pretty cruisy parenting, then you're definitely not doing it right, because it ain't all meant to be easy, folks. By the way, kind subscribers, please click on this little bell underneath the video and you will find out about every darn video that I put out. Thank you.